Nice Angus Ranch. It's a registered Angus cattle operation, southeast Oklahoma, a little town called Hanna. About the closest town of any size would be Eufaula. Here's our picture of our sale barn. That's where we have sales annually. This year there'll actually be two. There'll be one in the fall for females, and then one in the spring for bulls. Their spring starts unusually early. Their spring sells in February, so I've never really understood why, but that's the way they do it. 2,100 acres, 450 registered pairs. About 300 lots will be sold for production sale. The rest of them will be private treaty or sale barn.
When you say lots?
Those aren't individuals, are they?
Yeah. Could be.
Yes.
Oh, it's just a generic term?
Could be.
Okay.
You could look at the catalog, and right here it'll say, you can look there and just see things say like lot number.
Just have cattle are sold by lot.
See, here's
They're called,
lots
yeah,
9
say
through
lot.
11. Lots 9
Gotcha.
through 11. Now,
Yeah,
in a
picking
lot
out
could
some
be a
cows.
cow-calf pair. Yeah, everybody can look at that. That was the February production sale. In a lot, there could be a cow-calf pair. It could be an individual. It's just the auctioneer term, really. Here's the faculty. There's Joe over here on the left. You can see everybody's pretty much old, 66, 52, and 63.
Did you take these pictures?
I took one of them, but you can't guess which one.
Okay. And those other ones are professional photos.
Yeah, they just emailed me some shots. Actually, I got him off of the website, niceangus.com. Let's see. Joe, he's the owner. Doesn't say a whole lot. He's always in a hurry, but he's okay, I guess. Ron Mitchell, he's cool. I like him. He's a joker. He's the only guy that I look forward to seeing on a daily basis. He's 52 years old, so he's about the same age as my dad, but he'd act about the same way we all would, probably. And he likes to crank up some rock and roll, so when he's in the tractor, you can't ever get a hold of him. See him hear his phone. Or hear when the dismower is dragging a rock. So he tore up a lot of stuff sometimes. Lived in Henrietta his whole life. Pretty much just a hand out there. That's all he wants to be. He don't care about doing anything professional. He doesn't care about moving up. He just wants to do his job and get paid for it, and that's cool. On the other hand, Ronnie Jackson, he kind of tries to be the big shot. I guess he kind of is. He'll be replaced before long, I imagine. He's getting old. 63, but he has way too much energy. He would outwork all of us and love it. 13 hours later, he's still juiced up. Anyways, he buys fields. He buys, trades, and sells flea market stuff. We have a silencer, kind of like Keith had. It's pretty cool. Of course, it's all hydraulic. The scale right above my head there, that little box, that's a scale. We weighed all of our individuals in order to record EPDs, expected progeny differences. You have to do that when you're raising purebred cattle. So when people buy records or buy cattle, they come with records of how they performed. So they'll be weighed at birth, they'll be weighed at weaning, and then they'll be weighed at yearling. And people can see the spread, how long it took them to put on the pounds between weaning and yearling. So he is constantly working cattle to get those test results. There's a lot of diseases down there, southeast Oklahoma, compared to maybe some other parts in the state that we had to vaccinate against. So vaccinating was a full-time job. A lot of the more common ones people be familiar with, the BRD, BVD, Pastorilla, Mannheimia, Hemolytica, lepto, vibrio. Pink eye was a serious problem. So was foot rot. Then there was some other stuff we vaccinated for that I wasn't familiar with, and I haven't remembered the big long term for them yet. But anyways, it processes cattle real well. It has dark alleyways. You can see the rubber slats in here, and then along that chute where I'm standing in another picture, it if cattle can't see you, they're calmed down better. You can comfortably put 6 head in that alleyway behind me, and they'll all have their individual alleyway. There'll be a gate behind them and a gate in front of them, and they're not trying to tear each other up. So we run about 152 a week. Here's some of my duties. That's my feed truck that was assigned to me. Had a key box on the top of it, or on the back of it. Flatbed 2007 Dodge. We had 2 overhead bins. Right there you can see one picture where I'm filling up the cube box from the feed bin. You had to fill it up twice a day. And both of our rations was 14%. I was one's a cube form and one's grain. I was really impressed with the cube, somewhat intrigued with it. We got it delivered from Talala, and for $160 a ton. Thought that was very reasonable. It's 14%, so they're getting just as much out of that cube as they would a quality grain. But it had chlorotetracycline and rumensin both mixed into the cube, which is an antibiotic that'll constantly keep cattle healthier. We did this because pink eye and foot rot was such an issue constantly, especially during the spring. But also, it had mineral mixed in it. It was right time cardio mineral, as a matter of fact. Trace mineral salt, and I guess that's it. And then a 14% base. But in essence, the cattle was getting everything that they need out of these cubes. We did feed free choice mineral. We did feed protein supplement lick tubs. But for say you had one that chose not to go to the free choice mineral feeder, she would be getting her daily requirements out of the cubes. And I suppose it probably warded off a lot of bovine respiratory diseases because we had so many antibiotics inside the feed. We'd start feeding in the mornings at 6. Unless we was going to work that group, then we would start between 4 and 5. There was 150 yearling bulls on feed and test, and 150 heifers on feed. Some of them will be kept for replacements, and some will be going into the fall productions female sale. And they was in their own pastures. They each had about 20 acres to graze. There was 2 heifer pastures and 4 bull pastures. So they wasn't crammed, and they could. It looks like a feedlot from the looks of it, but they actually had plenty of room to graze. A big part of my job, we needed about 2,800 round bales of hay to get through the winter. It's not easy to acquire that amount of grass right there on the ranch. It's kind of, we have a lot of high country, it's mountains and timber. Even though it's a lot of grazing land, it's not arable, it's not farmable. A lot of it you can't even drag this mower across. So we found ourselves going into the town of Hanna, and then on the ranch we went to Eufaula, we went to Henrietta, and even to Shakota, all to get some hay built. So we was constantly traveling with our hay equipment. Them John Deere tractors will run 23 miles an hour down the road, so they do pretty good as opposed to some others that do about 15. Pretty cool baler right there. I really liked it. It's 567 round baler. There's only one series that's newer than that one, so it's pretty modern. The tractor was real nice to operate, comfortable, and push button shift on the go, shuttle transmission, all the bells and whistles. It was really cool. I liked using that. It's the finest equipment I've ever got to use. And it was my job just to run the baler and the tractor. A lot of times I had to rake as well, but my primary job was to run the baler. Anyways, that's some of our hay equipment. And for hauling hay, we used a John Deere skid steer loader, is what we would stack it with when we got to the hay piles. From the field, the baler tractor, we'd unhook the baler and it had a front end loader with a hay spike. We'd load that Dodge truck and flatbed trailer right there. It's a 40-foot long flatbed, and it could hold 25 by 6 round bales of hay. It was pulling well over 40,000 pounds. It's a 1-ton truck. So, probably not legal, but it's pretty cool. The skid steer loader, that's real handy. We feed a lot of lick tubs. They're 250 pounds a piece. And the skid steer loader would unload them off the truck, put them in our barn on a pallet, take them from there to the flatbed or to the bucket of the tractor to be distributed to the pasture. Saved a lot of back-breaking work, but it's pretty uncomfortable to operate. It's real loud inside that cab, bounces around, the chains are loud. I don't like to use it, but I've never used one before, and that's something that I was able to learn how to do, become proficient using one of those. So it was a new experience.
And that was Caterpillar?
It was a John Deere.
John Deere.
Yeah. There's our truck and trailer for hauling cattle. It's a 24-foot long Titan trailer. Has 3 cut gates in it. Or 2 cut gates makes 3 sections. Anytime we had a cold cow, maybe something that we couldn't get bred, it would be hauled to McAllister stockyards, and that's what would take it. That would also haul cattle to the vets. We went to a vet in Morris, and we was constantly going up there with bulls, because when you have 150 bulls and then you're pushing them real hard on grain like we was, you sometimes have problems with acidosis and bloat, and there are persistent battles with pink eye and foot rot. Of course, you'll have injuries when they're feeding around bunks.
Are you taking those bulls to the vet's facility and leaving them there,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to having the vet come out to you?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cheaper.
You'd rather just keep them and doctor them there?
Yeah. Sometimes we'd just take them there and he'd look at them and tell us what we needed to do. We'd haul it back. It depends on the severity. Then we had our 4-wheelers. I didn't like that. I didn't like it one bit. I don't even want to ever drive a 4-wheeler again. I've always used horses to transport cattle across the fields, and at this place I was forced to use a 4-wheeler. I see where they have their place, but it's not a place where I want to have to utilize them. But they can be used efficiently, especially on calm cattle. And we had 4 of them. And that's how we got our cattle up. And it worked okay. They did their job.